to start by welcoming Billy Shelton. He is a distinguished singer, entertainer, who is an integral part of the making of the music industry in the United States, with doo-wop when it originated in the 40's. So he has been gracious enough to tell us about his life, and more specifically to allow us to learn about the challenges that he faced as an incredibly talented black man building his career in those days.
I am very excited and honored to be on your program.
Thank you. I'm great to have you. I have to start you with a forthright question, but could you tell everyone? I want people to know. Could you tell everyone how old you are, so they will get some perspective about the depth of knowledge and wisdom that you have?
I want to tell you first, I've been singing professionally for 83 years. So now I'll tell you my age. I'm 86. I started singing professionally at the age of 3. Yeah, out of the 86 years, 83 of those years, I've been doing something that I love more than anything else. I've been into music, singing, That's a blessing.
That's awesome. I mean, who can say that about their life? That's incredible. Could you start by maybe telling us a little bit about where you were born?
I was born in the heart of the Depression of Chicago, in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, the southeast side. And I was born in 1934, and I grew up with people, other entertainers of that era, like Sam Cooke and Lou Rawls and Bo Diddley and Nat King Cole and Minnie Riperton and Dinah Washington, Thomas A. Dorsey, all Mahalia Jackson, all of us were from that same area in Chicago. Isn't that something? Right. I did not choose music. Music chose me. I just had to sing. Once I heard music, and especially harmony, music is so powerful. It's the most powerful thing I've ever seen.
What was it like living in this time?
Well, music saved my neck so many times. I was telling my friend a story about the time that I was on the road with the Emotions, they're my nieces. You heard of the song "The Best of My Love"?
Yes.
You heard
yes.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, Boogie Wonderland.
Yeah.
These 3 girls, I think they were the greatest girl singers of all times. Bought their first sheet music, and I was part of their formation.
Yeah.
And they traveled for years with Mahalia Jackson in the churches. She used them as an act, an opening act, and they were called the Heavenly Sunbeams at first.
That was their name.
Later on, they were called the Sunbeams, the Hutchinson Sunbeams. That was their name, and they became the Emotions later. It was a thrill when I was on the road with them. I was their driver. I would help their dad. When we were on tour down south, we had done a show the night before, and we were at the Holiday Inn, and the dad said, "Billy, we need some food. We're hungry. Could you take my car and go to a restaurant and pick up some food for the band and the girls?" I said, "Sure." Mm-hmm. I took the band leader with me, and we drove around and we saw a place that was like a tavern with a big restaurant, so we get the food here. We accidentally, unknowingly, walked up into a KKK meeting. They didn't have the sheets on at that time. They didn't need to,
Yeah.
They had their guns and stuff like that. And when we walked in, 2 black guys dressed up like cowboys, because we had just been to Houston, Texas, and Dover, Delaware, and we picked up some cowboy outfits.
Yeah.
We walked in, and they were shocked. And they said, "By God, what look who just walked in here! We don't even look what the Lord has delivered unto us. We don't
That's
even have
terrifying.
to go and get them.
That's really scary. Wow.
Yeah, and that's probably the first time I called on God. I said, "Oh God, don't let me die like this." Yeah, they could have killed us right there and planted us for fertilizer. Nobody ever would have known what happened to us.
That's the way it was in those days?
Yeah, so I was able to talk to one of the guys, and we got out of there alive. I went into the Army the same time Elvis Presley went in 1957, and while I was a soldier, I was stationed in Fort Lee, Virginia, and I'm riding to our fort on the bus, and the bus driver told me, said, "Hey, you can't sit up here. You got to sit in the back of the bus." I showed him. I said, "Sir," I said, "do you realize? And you see the uniform I have on? I'm wearing a uniform that says I'm willing to give up my life, not only for the country, but for you and for this town. I'm not allowed to sit where I want to sit, and I paid bus fare." And so the guy said, "Well, you'll be arrested if you do that, And so that's what happened, That was going on everywhere. And Jackie Robinson, you've heard of Jackie Robinson, the baseball player.
Absolutely, yes.
He was a lieutenant in the Army, and he actually got court-martialed by the United States because he would not sit on the back of the bus.
I certainly have heard that story. Yeah. There was, wow. Was that kind of around the same era? All of that happened. His incident happened before mine, and I think the incident happened before Rosa Parks, But the time that Rosa Parks did it, from what I understand, she didn't refuse to sit in the black section. She went to the black section because she was from that town, and she was familiar with their laws and stuff like that. But that particular day, it was a hectic day, and they had a big crowd on the bus. So in that case, the black people who were sitting in the black section will have to move farther back in the bus, and she refused to do that because she was tired. One time, my sister took me down south to where my father was from, Asheville, North Carolina. She took me there to visit my people, and I sat behind the bus driver. I was a kid then, Right.
And the bus driver told my sister, he said, "Are you guys from the north?" And she said, "Yeah, we're from Chicago." He said, "Well, he was nice. He let me sit there and talk to him. I didn't know I was jeopardizing everybody by sitting on the front of the bus. Actually, it wasn't too much different. The only thing in the South, they would be open with it, and they call you the N-word and stuff like that. Where in Chicago, they might call you Mr. Shelton, and and
under their breath be really thinking the same.
De facto, I caught I caught a lot of hell in Chicago by being in the wrong neighborhood. You know, they had their gangs, and we were not allowed to go across there. Don't go downtown, you know. I spent a lot of my formative years in Gary, Indiana. That's where the Spaniels originated. 1948, that's how we actually got started in Gary, Indiana, which is approximately 30 miles from Chicago, okay? In Gary, Indiana, they had different water fountains. They had water fountains for whites, and the blacks had to drink water from another fountain. They had different toilets, you know, toilets for the white. And they had the signs up in Gary, which is just 30 miles out of Chicago.
So it's not even the South. So, I mean, it's like... Right.
The same thing was going on here, but in the South, they were at least open about it, you know. They were truthful about it. So I have more respect for somebody who will come out and tell you, you know, rather than sugarcoat it.
Or pretend or, you know, put on an air of like, oh, I'm... Yeah. They're called fake liberals nowadays.
Yes.
Fake liberals.
Yes.
Basically.
When they drafted me in the Army, I did my basic training in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. They called it Little Korea because it was so tough. And if you were from Chicago or Indiana or Michigan, that's where you took your basic training. It was a dangerous place. They had every poisonous snake in the United States was right there. That's where Jesse James and all the outlaws used to hide, you know, and everything.
Oh wow!
And
I know that.
you would either be standing in mud or on rocks. It was real tough, you know, and it had a reputation. I did good in the Army. I was number 2 in the physical tests in my whole company.
Oh wow!
And I had not gone to the ROTC. I wasn't familiar with military, but I just took to the Army, and I ended up being a squad leader. And in my squad, I had whites and blacks. I had hillbillies from Illinois in my outfit.
How did that work?
I had a couple of Indians.
Native people.
A couple of Indians from Michigan, and I had a lot of white. My squad was about 90% white, you know. And I never will forget, we went to the town of Waynesville to get something to eat. We had some time off. We had the weekend pass. And little did I know that they were very prejudiced in Waynesville. And we went in this place to eat, and the guys ordered up big dinners, steak dinners, stuff like that. And I happened to see a sign that said, "We don't serve blacks in here," you know, colored people or whatever the sign said. You know, if you're colored, you have to go to the back of in the alley in the back of the restaurant and put your order in and wait, let them pass it through the window, you know. But you were not allowed to come in there and eat, you know.
This was when you were in the military, so you were older.
I'm wearing a uniform that I'm ready to give my life for this country.
What a slap in the face! What more than a slap, a slug and a slap and a
right. And I'm the leader of the squad.
That's like
white guys.
Humiliating enough.
They're in my squad, you know.
Yeah.
So my first reaction, I did not want to embarrass my squad. I didn't want to call attention to that sign. So I just told them, I said, you know, I'm not really hungry. I'll wait till we get back to the barracks to eat. And they knew that wasn't right, because as greedy as I am,
they're like, we're not buying it.
I could eat a cow. Yeah, so they started looking around, and one of them saw the sign.
And they knew.
Every one of the guys in my squad, I forgot how many I had, maybe about 15 or 20 guys, something like that. They all, after ordering up all that food, they all got up and walked out of the rest. The whites and the blacks and the Indians got up and walked out of that restaurant. I was so proud of the guys, for doing. They did that on their own,
Yeah. Oh my God, that is the way life needs to be. The way people need to be there for their fellow humans when something goes wrong. That just makes me so happy. That just makes me so, to hear something like that kind of gives me like hope a little bit.
But Kim,
you must have been really respected.
The beautiful thing about that is one of the guys in my squad was from that area. He grew up in Waynesville and stuff like that. So that was their way of life. They were taught that black people were inferior, and they,
so ignorant,
they were just made ignorant, that they were supposed to be slaves. And he did not buy that. And he turned out to be the best friend I had.
Wow.
In the South. And he grew up under that. And that's the thing that's the only thing that would straighten out the situation. There's got to be some white people who can think and say that this is not right,
Right. To act human, act like humans, and understand.
Right. And
these are our fellow humans.
Right. He put his neck on the line, because, of course, the rest of them, they just disowned him, and they were mad at him because he stood up for a black guy. But he said it's not right,